Hey, it's Patrick, and today I'm going to show you how to install a Custom Dynamics Shark Demon headlight in your Road Glide. We're doing ours on this 2020. The installation is going to be the same from 2015 all the way up to 23 when they added that crazy wraparound style. Why are we doing this? Two reasons. One, it's a lot brighter. Even on the low beam setting, we're going to have 9,000 raw lumens. Secondly, it's going to give us that kind of cool off-road look. We're going to have the one yellow fog light on the one side and the clear light on the other side. So we're getting really functional lighting, and we're also going to gain some cool factor points. I will say, if you're going to run an aftermarket amp with this, you will need the additional set of amplifier brackets to space these headlights out a little bit. Our application today, we will not need those. Really simple install. Can be done with hand tools in your garage. You don't need a lift. We're going to leave ours on the ground. As you can see, we have our fairing off here. If you need to know how to do this, we'll leave that link in the description. We have a video on explaining how to get this fairing off. It's actually very, very simple. So let's get to work. The first thing we need to do is disconnect our battery. So to get to the battery, of course, we have to take our seat off, Phillips screwdriver, have it off in no time. So instead of taking our ECU tray and everything off, we're just gonna come over here and take our ground loose. So first thing we need to do is get these little trim pieces off the side of our headlight. So we're gonna take a T25 Torx. There's gonna be 2 per side, and we'll get rid of those. So now we take our headlight out. I recommend putting a rag or something on your fender, because if this thing gets away from you, it's got a little bit of weight, could dent your fender. We need a 3/16 Allen. There's 2 Allens down here that are easy to get to, and the top 2 are much farther back in there, so you'll probably need an extension. Also, there may be some plugs. This is a used bike, so ours are already loose on these little pegs that are on these tabs. It's a good idea to take those off now, because you're gonna have to do it later, and it's a lot easier to do it now while this thing's attached. Then we're gonna unplug the headlight and remove it completely. So we're gonna take 2 of the Allen screws that had, that one down there. So we're gonna take 2 of the Allen screws that were in our OEM headlight, and we're gonna use those 2 screws to mount our first bracket. This bracket's gonna go in like this, with this little angled piece sticking out. These 2 holes here and these tabs are gonna line right up with our OEM spot where our headlight was mounted before. It's gonna slide right up in there. We're also, once we have that mounted, we're going to plug in our adapter wiring harness. This plugs into the stock mount. These will plug in to the lights in a minute. And you're gonna see one little split off here, a 2-wire plug. What this is for is if you have an optional auxiliary switch on your dash, you can actually hook this up and flip that yellow light on and off independently if you want to. We're gonna go ahead, take our 3/16 Allen and get our bracket on and get our plug plugged in. So before we get too far down the road with our install, we have to address something that you may or may not have on your Road Glide. We have it here, and that's this Harley-Davidson telemetry unit. Now it's gonna be in the way. More than likely, you probably don't have this, because in 2020, I think they stopped using these things. There's a bracket under here that's held on by 2 bolts you can take out with a 3/8 socket. We're just gonna take ours out, take the bracket off. We're gonna remount it up underneath here out of the way. If you don't have this, you can skip this step. Otherwise, you're gonna need to take your telemetry unit, leave it plugged in, and just tuck it up out of the way. Okay, now we have to mount the actual light units into the brackets that we are then going to mount onto the bike. These go in there. If I was sitting on the bike, like if I'm on the bike, headlights facing this way, these brackets are going to mount like this. These ears that are sticking up would go to the outside of the bike, and these ears that are sticking forward would obviously be sticking forward, because that's what's going to hold the lights. So this is how you mount those in the bike. If you're on the bike, if I'm on the bike, right side, left side. But if you have the ears up and to the outside, you'll be in good shape. How we're going to do that is there are 2 on each side of each light that go in the bracket. There is a top and bottom to these light units. The light actually says top right here on the clear glass and on the yellow glass. So this top is gonna go up to the top with this ear sticking up. I'm gonna put the tiniest dab of blue Loctite on these little hex heads. You're gonna need a 10mm wrench. It says to use a flat washer. There is no lock washer, they send a flat washer. So if you notice there's a slot in here, this is gonna be for a final adjustment when we get onto the bike. I am gonna snug these up pretty good, but we will be adjusting these once we get them on the bike. So now we're gonna install each light pod that's on our bracket. Make sure you pull the plug through the center so you can get it plugged in. Also, when you plug these in, remember if you are switching one of them, this is the one that will have the switch. Say the yellow one, we are not, so we can plug them into either one. We're gonna put this pod in here. We're going to use a 5mm Allen and use one of the M6 screws that comes with it. There's 5, we're gonna use 4 right now. We're gonna put one up here and one over here on each pod. And they have lock washers on them, so we do not need any Loctite. Make sure, like I said, to plug them in before you install them. It'll be a lot easier. So now we're gonna go back and we're going to reconnect our ground on our battery and test to make sure all of our lights are coming on like we want them. And then we're gonna reach in here with a 10mm wrench, make our final up and down adjustments. So now we're gonna put our final trim piece on. The top of it, you want this little bend facing in towards the bike. And with that little bend, we're gonna take this piece of like weather stripping and we're gonna slide that on there. This top hole is gonna go right here. You should have one M6 screw left. You need a 5mm Allen and tighten that one up. There's gonna be 2 /20 Allens left. Those are gonna go through those bottom holes in the light pod bracket, and you're going to need a 3/16 Allen for those. So our light install is done. All of our adjustments are done. Our last piece of trim is on. Everything works perfectly. Now we just need to reinstall our outer fairing. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we have a video to show you how to do that. If you're not familiar, it'll be linked in the description. We're all wrapped up. Our outer fairing is installed. Got some cool new looks with a very, very bright and functional set of lights. Overall, I'd say give yourself maybe 3.5 hours to do this in an afternoon or a weekend. Simple hand tools will get it done. You don't need a lift. And with the fairing removal on and off, you're probably looking, like I said, about 3.5 hours. Looking for more information, go ahead and click that info tab on your desktop or mobile device. It'll take you to the product detail page where you can read other Reddit reviews and more specs about these lights. If you are still looking for more information, feel free to reach out to our customer service team. They would love to talk to you about what works best for you, your motorcycle, and your budget. I am Patrick. Thank you for watching. Now go work on those motorcycles.